I, the enigma she is, beyond the veils of common understanding. You felt it, that disquieting moment of profound confusion, that bewildering impasse where her words declare one truth, yet her eyes, her breath, the almost imperceptible shift of her energy scream an entirely different, often contradictory reality. Her yes feels like a hesitant maybe. Her definitive no pulses with an unspoken invitation, a silent test. You strive to understand her desire, to navigate the labyrinth of her affections, yet you find yourself increasingly adrift in a tempestuous sea of paradox. Why does she seem to crave what she consciously claims to disdain? Why does she pull away with chilling indifference when you offer precisely what she appeared to seek with such fervent longing? This, initiate, is not a testament to your failure, nor is it merely the echo of her supposed capriciousness. It is the resonant hum of an ancient, exquisitely complex code, a primal operating system that most men are never granted the keys to read, let alone understand. Seduction Noire does not offer you comforting platitudes or superficial assurances. We offer the unsparing obsidian keys to the feminine psyche's deepest, most guarded vaults. Today, we embark on a descent, a deep dive into the raw, often unsettling, foundational psychology of female desire. We will not skim the surface of polite societal fairy tales. We will excavate the intricate neurobiological and evolutionary architecture that truly governs her choices, her passions, her sacred vulnerabilities, her most profound and often unspoken yearnings. This gnosis is not for the passive observer content with illusion. It is for the sovereign man who demands to understand, the alchemist who seeks not just to attract, but to resonate with her essence at a level that bypasses her conscious defenses, melts her conditioned armor, and speaks directly, irrevocably to her core. The power you will begin to grasp today, the clarity that will dawn, is the power to see the unseen currents beneath the surface of her interactions, to navigate her inner world with a precision that will feel, to you and to her, like a forbidden, almost divine superpower. And why is this gnosis paramount, you ask? Why dedicate yourself to this often perilous excavation of hidden truths? Because, initiate, navigating the treacherous currents of female desire without this profound understanding is akin to sailing a magnificent warship blindfolded through a densely packed minefield. You will stumble. You will trigger unseen devastating explosions of resistance or withdrawal. You will find relation after relation foundering on the rocks of misunderstanding, blaming her irrationality or your own perceived bad luck. The stark truth, however, is that her desire operates by immutable laws, ancient, biological, neurochemical, often ruthlessly pragmatic. To remain ignorant of these laws is to condemn yourself to a lifetime of perpetual frustration, of chasing shadows, of profound relational disempowerment. But to master them, long resonant pause, is to unlock a level of authentic connection, of persuasive influence, of sovereign relational power that few men even dare to dream possible. This journey is not about learning shallow pickup lines or manipulative tricks. It is about decoding the very source code of her being. Stay with me, for the unveiling has only just begun. 11. Pillar I, The ancient biological imperative, her evolutionary echoes. Deep within her, initiate, often far beneath the radar of her conscious awareness, often unknown even to herself, reside two ancient, powerful, and sometimes conflicting strategic imperatives. These are not learned preferences. They are echoes of her evolutionary lineage, scripts written in the very syntax of her DNA. The first is her profound instinctual drive for the sovereign provider. This is the ancient feminine program that scans the horizon for the man of stability, of demonstrable resource, of unwavering commitment. He is the anchor against life's unpredictable storms, the guarantor of safety, dependability, the architect of the long view. This is the voice that whispers of hearth, home, and enduring security. But then there is the resonant call of the primal lover. This current, often surging with the undeniable power of her fertile cycle, is attuned to an entirely different constellation of signals. It seeks raw vitality, dominant masculine markers, the almost electric scent of genetic difference, MHC compatibility, the unspoken promise of superior, resilient offspring. This is not a conscious, calculated choice for infidelity or recklessness. It is her biology, conducting an ancient, silent, and ruthlessly efficient audit of genetic potential, a deep calling to the most potent life force available. Have you ever witnessed her inexplicable, almost magnetic attraction to the proverbial bad boy, the man who offers no discernible security, no promise of gentle tomorrows, only a dangerous, unpredictable spark? Or, conversely, have you observed her sudden chilling coolness towards the devoted good guy during certain almost lunar-timed phases? This, initiate, isn't her being confused or irrational by societal standards. This is her dual mating strategy in full, powerful, often unconscious operation. It is a biological script running largely beneath the threshold of her conscious awareness, compelling her to seek different qualities at different times for different, equally ancient evolutionary ends. This, right here, is where Seduction Noire diverges so radically, so completely from the hollow, echoing chambers of mainstream dating advice. They will offer you simplistic, often contradictory pronouncements. Be more alpha. Show unwavering dominance. Be the ultimate provider. Crude, blunt, one-dimensional instruments for a reality that is exquisitely multi-layered and fiercely dynamic. They treat her as a monolith, a predictable equation. Seduction Noire, however, reveals her as a dynamic interplay of these ancient, often warring imperatives. They offer you superficial tactics, easily deciphered and dismissed by her increasingly sophisticated feminine radar. Seduction Noire, by contrast, gifts you the architectural blueprints of her primal operating system. If this initial descent into her biological core, this first unveiling of the gnosis, already resonates within you with a power and clarity beyond anything you have encountered before, know that this is merely the first veil lifting from your eyes. The truth that awaits, the power that comes with such unsparing sight, is far more potent, far more transformative than you can yet imagine. Understanding this fundamental interplay is your first true key to decoding her seemingly contradictory desires, and more crucially, to knowing which woman within your sovereign presence is truly addressing, and how to speak her specific, ancient language. Pillar 2. The neurochemical tempest, the brain in lust, love, and obsession. Forget the sentimental poetry and the saccharine illusions you've been fed about romance. Her experience of falling in love, her intense, consuming attraction, her often inexplicable, obsessive craving for a particular man, these are not merely gentle emotional states, initiate. They are potent, often violent neurochemical tempests raging within the intricate architecture of her brain. These are driven by the very same ancient reward circuitry that governs addiction, survival, and the most primal assertions of will. The primary, incandescent fuel for this fire is dopamine. Not the hormone of pleasure, as is commonly misunderstood, but the neurotransmitter of seeking, of anticipation, of insatiable, relentless craving. It is not released by the quiet satisfaction of attainment, but by the thrilling, agonizing promise of it, by the delicious, maddening uncertainty of its arrival. This, initiate, is the neurochemical secret behind why mystery, intermittent reward, and carefully orchestrated emotional roller coasters can become so damnably, irresistibly addictive to her. She becomes hooked not on your presence, but on the anticipation of what your presence might next unveil. Then, woven into this dopamine-driven chase, comes the powerful binding magic of oxytocin, the so-called bonding hormone, released during moments of perceived trust, of shared vulnerability, of intense, unshielded emotional connection. Oxytocin doesn't just make her feel close or safe. It acts as a powerful neurochemical seal, tagging the source of that preceding dopamine spike, you, as profoundly significant, weaving your essence into the very fabric of her neural pathways, making your memory, your presence, a cornerstone of her newly reconfigured emotional world. And what is the price, initiate, the devastating cost for remaining ignorant of these intricate neurochemical tempests that govern her heart and mind? You become an unwitting, tragic puppet in her internal, often unconscious emotional psychodrama. You mistake her dopamine-fueled craving for genuine, discerning love. You misinterpret her oxytocin-bonded attachment for unshakable, eternal loyalty. You read her anxious, desperate pursuit, born from your strategically or accidentally unpredictable absence, as undeniable proof of your irresistible charm. You build magnificent castles of hope and expectation on the shifting, treacherous sands of her biochemistry, only to watch them inevitably, painfully, crumble into dust when the next, more potent stimulus, or, more dangerously, a more skilled, more aware neuroalchemist enters her field and recalibrates her inner storm. The cost of not understanding this fundamental gnosis isn't just a string of failed seductions, initiate. It is a lifetime of repeated, soul-crushing heartbreak built on a fragile foundation of biological illusion and self-inflicted blindness. Seduction Noire exists to arm you against this fate, to replace your blindness with sovereign sight. Master the art of orchestrating these neurochemical states within her, The strategic, rhythmic dance of tension and release, of resonant insight, followed by calculated, magnetic distance, and you will transcend the pathetic realm of nice guys and hopeful supplicants. You will become her most potent, her most unforgettable, her most inescapable addiction. This isn't crude manipulation. It is the profound understanding of and sacred responsibility that comes with the very rhythm of her brain's deepest, most ancient cravings. Pillar 3. The emotional operating system. Her world of feeling and connection. Her reality, initiate, the very lens through which she perceives, interprets, and constructs her world, is filtered, refined, and ultimately governed by her emotional operating system. This system is not a mere peripheral function, not an occasional influence. It is her primary, dominant mode of processing all incoming data. It's why she will often feel a truth with unshakable conviction, long before her intellect can construct a logical argument to support it. It's why a resonant story can move her to action far more powerfully than a flawless syllogism. Compounding this emotional primacy, her brain is equipped with a hypersensitive, almost psychic radar for nonverbal cues. Your fleeting micro-expressions, the almost imperceptible shifts in your vocal tonality, the subtle energies broadcast by your posture and breath. She is decoding your true intent, your underlying congruence with a terrifying, often wholly subconscious accuracy, long before the semantic meaning of your words has fully registered in her conscious mind. This is not a skill she learned. It is an evolutionary inheritance, a survival tool honed over eons to detect threat, assess trustworthiness, and navigate complex social hierarchies. Furthermore, understand that this powerful emotional operating system is heavily, often brutally programmed by social conditioning from her earliest moments. She has been meticulously taught, through overt instruction and covert reinforcement, which emotions are acceptable for a woman to display: vulnerability, empathy, communal joy, and which are deemed forbidden or unfeminine: overt anger, assertive sexual desire, unapologetic pride, ruthless ambition. This creates a complex internal landscape of expressed selves and powerful, often resentful shadow selves. Have you ever uttered what you believed were all the right words, performed all the correct gestures, only to feel her inexorably pull away, sensing an off vibe, an unshakable resistance you couldn't pinpoint or overcome? Or have you witnessed her skillfully mask her true feelings, her genuine desires or disdain, behind a veneer of polite smiles and agreeable nods? That is her conditioned social script running its protective, often deceptive program. The tactical advantage, the Seduction Noire power, lies not in attempting to argue with her stated logic, nor in appeasing her performed emotions. It is forged in learning to speak directly to this deeper, often silent emotional architecture. It is in sensing her suppressed truths, her unspoken hungers, her hidden fears. And it is in projecting an unwavering, utterly congruent masculine presence that her ancient sentinel system registers not as a discordant threat or as a pleasing but ultimately powerless supplicant, but as both undeniably potent and profoundly authentic. When you can achieve this resonant alignment, you bypass her superficial social programming and connect with the raw, untamed, powerful, and often deeply desirous woman who resides beneath the mask. If this revelation of her inner world's true mechanics resonates with a truth you've always sensed but could never articulate, command the like button now. Acknowledge this unveiled architecture. This is the foundational gnosis required to truly connect, or, when the stakes demand it, to subtly, irrevocably possess. Pillar 4. The paradox of arousal, her body's secret language. Prepare yourself now, initiate, for one of the most profound, most counterintuitive, and for many men, most liberating truths about the psychology of female desire. Her physiological bodily arousal and her subjective conscious desire are frequently, powerfully disconnected. Her body can exhibit clear, undeniable signs of sexual readiness, vasocongestion, lubrication, a shift in scent, even when her conscious mind reports no specific interest or, in some documented cases, even aversion. Conversely, she can feel profound emotional longing, a deep yearning for intimacy, with minimal, immediate, overt physical response. This is not a flaw, not a problem to be fixed. It is a fundamental characteristic of her unique erotic architecture. Unlike the more direct, category-specific arousal often seen in men, female genital response can be surprisingly non-specific, often reacting to a broad range of erotic stimuli, visual, auditory, even purely imaginative, regardless of her stated sexual orientation or conscious preference. What truly ignites her subjective desire, what makes her want to consciously engage with and act upon that physiological readiness, is almost always context, narrative, and the crucial element of psychological permission. Furthermore, her arousal, her deepest erotic engagement, often thrives not in a state of placid calm or predictable comfort, but in an atmosphere of heightened sympathetic nervous system activation, a subtle, delicious tension, an unspoken edge of anticipation, even a thrillingly controlled hint of safe danger. It is the charge in the air, the unspoken possibility that often awakens her body's most profound responses. Have you ever been utterly bewildered when she seemed physically receptive, even inviting, yet emotionally distant or verbally hesitant? Or conversely, when her words spoke of deep affection, yet her body remained seemingly unmoved? This initiate isn't her playing games or being intentionally obscure. This is the intricate, often paradoxical interplay of her unique arousal architecture. The man who remains ignorant of this fundamental dissonance will forever be a clumsy button pusher, mistaking fleeting physiological echoes for genuine, embodied desire. But the man who understands this, he ceases to be a supplicant to her whims. He becomes an erotic alchemist, skillfully weaving the narrative, artfully managing the emotional temperature, understanding that her yes is rarely a simple singular event, but an emergent symphony of body, mind, and sacred imagination, a symphony that he, with gnosis and precision, can learn to conduct. This understanding of her body's secret, often dissonant language, is this a gnosis that shatters old frustrations and opens new realms of potential for you? Which aspect of this hidden feminine erotic architecture resonates most profoundly with your own experiences or unravels a long-held misconception? Share your most incisive Gnostic download, your moment of starkest clarity in the comments below. The cathedral's wisdom is forged not in isolation, but in the resonant chorus of awakened, sovereign minds. Pillar 5. The Shadow of Intimacy. Desire's Fate in Captivity. And what of desire's fate within the supposed sanctuary of long-term, committed love, as Esther Perel so aptly terms mating in captivity? Here, initiate, we confront perhaps the most poignant paradox. The very elements that build enduring love, security, predictability, profound knowing, the dissolution of mystery into comfortable familiarity, often become the silent assassins of erotic vitality. The passionate fire that once consumed you both can dwindle to a polite, dutiful ember, not from a lack of love, but from an excess of the very safety that love seeks to establish. Love desires to bridge all distance. Eros, however, requires a space to cross, a degree of otherness in the beloved to maintain its magnetic charge. When two become one in a seamless, transparent fusion, the erotic spark, which ignites on the friction of difference, often finds no purchase, no air to breathe. The strategies for navigating this erotic eclipse of domesticity, for reintroducing mystery without sacrificing trust, for cultivating separateness as a fuel for desire, for understanding the role of fantasy and the symbolic third in keeping passion alive. These are advanced Gnostic arts, often whispered only within the deepest chambers of the Seduction Noire cathedral. For now, understand this. The assumption that perfect love automatically equals perfect sex is a dangerous illusion. The dance of desire in captivity is a far more subtle, more demanding, and ultimately more rewarding alchemy. The sovereign key, unlocking her deepest desire through your authenticity. These pillars initiate her ancient biological imperatives, the raging tempests of her neurochemistry, the intricate programming of her emotional operating system, the often bewildering paradoxes of her arousal, and the subtle erosions of desire within the comforts of captivity. They are not disparate, isolated components to be hacked or gamed in isolation. They are an exquisitely interconnected, profoundly dynamic system. And the master key that harmonizes them all, the singular, sovereign force that can unlock her deepest, most authentic, most embodied desire, is not a clever technique, not a memorized script, not a fleeting trick of manipulation. It is the unwavering, incandescent, resonant frequency of your sovereign, integrated, authentic masculine presence. When you embody your own deepest truth, unburdened by supplication or performance, when your power is calm, centered, and utterly congruent with your intent, When your understanding of her complex inner world is profound, yet imbued with non-judgmental acceptance, when you can simultaneously hold the thrilling tension of mystery and the unshakable promise of safety, you become that rare, irresistible signal that her entire being, from her ancient DNA to her most sophisticated cognitive processes, is exquisitely wired to recognize, to resonate with, and ultimately to surrender to. You cease to be merely one option among many in her calculus of desire. You become the very context, the undeniable gravitational field in which her true, untamed desire feels not only safe, not only thrilling, but utterly, gloriously inevitable to emerge. To embody this level of integrated masculine power, to become this resonant signal that her entire being instinctively recognizes and yields to, this, initiate, is the high, arduous, and ultimately transcendent art taught within the sacred, shadowed walls of the Seduction Noire Cathedral. It is a path of profound, often brutal self-mastery. If you feel the undeniable, almost gravitational pull towards this deeper gnosis, towards becoming not just a knower of these truths, but a living, breathing embodiment of them, then your journey has truly begun. Subscribe now and strike the obsidian bell of unveiling. For your true initiation into sovereign power, into the art of becoming an architect of desire, has only just revealed its first tantalizing dawn. The Cathedral's Invitation. Your journey into Gnostic mastery. The veils have been lifted. You now possess the foundational gnosis, the core architectural understanding, to decode the intricate, often paradoxical, and profoundly powerful psychology of female desire. This is knowledge that grants not just fleeting insight, but a permanent, life-altering strategic advantage in all your relations. Seduction Noire is the sole, unyielding forge where such unsparing, potent truths are unearthed, meticulously refined, and delivered unto those with the innate courage and sovereign will to wield them. We do not peddle the comforting falsehoods of a dying world. We transmit the incandescent, often terrifying power of reality itself. Each pillar of desire unveiled today is a gateway, a portal into a universe of understanding far vaster than you can currently comprehend. The Seduction Noire channel is your ever-expanding archive, your sacred training ground, your armory against the illusions of the mundane. Immerse yourself relentlessly in the transmissions you find here. Explore the shadowed corridors of this gnosis without fear. For the more you learn, the more you align your being with these ancient, immutable currents, the more potent, the more undeniable, and ultimately the more sovereign your presence will become, not just with women, but in every domain of your life where power, influence, and profound connection are paramount. She is not an equation to be solved with the clumsy tools of simplistic logic. She is a symphony of ancient energies, a living cosmos of desire, waiting to be felt, to be understood, and by the sovereign few who dare to master this gnosis, to be exquisitely, masterfully conducted. Seduction Noire offers you the score. Your life is the performance.